The night was quiet on Outpost 17, a small human station on the edge of alien space. The sky above was filled with strange stars different from Earth's. The men and women who lived here were used to silence, used to the feeling of being very far from home. Captain Ryan Hale sat alone in the control room. He was tired, his eyes heavy. His shift was almost finished when a strange sound cut through the static of the radio. It was not a normal signal, it was a voice. "Help me," the voice whispered, weak and broken. "Please, someone. Help me." Ryan froze. The voice was not human. It had an alien accent, but it was clear. He leaned closer to the console. His fingers moved quickly, pulling the signal into focus. "Who is this?" he asked. There was a long pause, then the voice returned, shaking, full of fear. "My name is Lyra," she said. "They are going to take me. They are going to kill me in the ritual. Please, if anyone hears me." "Please." The signal cut off. Silence filled the control room again. Ryan sat back in his chair. His heart was beating fast. He looked at the empty room around him. No one else had heard it, only him. He replayed the message again and again. Each time it felt more real, more desperate. An alien girl begging for her life, an alien ritual of death. Most humans in the outpost would laugh. They would say, "It is not our problem, let the aliens do what they want." But Ryan could not laugh. He could not ignore it. Something in her voice felt true. It cut through him like a blade. He stood and walked quickly down the narrow halls of the station. His boots echoed against the metal floor. He found Lieutenant Carson in the comms office. Carson was tall, sharp, and always by the book. "Carson," Ryan said. "I picked up a distress call. A girl is in danger. Some kind of ritual." Carson frowned. "Alien business, sir. We don't interfere with their culture. You know the rules. We keep the peace. We don't play hero." Ryan clenched his fists. "So we let her die? We let them kill her in front of their people? That's peace?" Carson looked away. "It's not our war," he muttered, "and if you go, it will become our war." Ryan left without another word. He knew Carson would never help. The rules were chains around his neck, but Ryan was different. He had never been good at following rules, especially when it meant leaving someone to die. He returned to the control room and pulled up the star chart. He tracked the signal. His eyes followed the map as the computer drew a line. The source was a city on the planet below, a city ruled by the alien priesthood, a city where humans were not welcome. The ritual was tonight. The message had been clear. There was no time. Ryan opened his locker and pulled out his old rifle. The weapon was heavy in his hands. The metal cold, he had not used it in months. But tonight he would. He loaded his gear, ammo, scanner, cloak for blending in the dark. Each piece felt heavier than the last, as if the weight of choice pressed down on him. As he prepared, the words replayed in his head. "Help me, please," he whispered to himself. "I hear you, Lyra. I'm coming." He moved to the docking bay. His small ship waited, silent and ready. The engines hummed to life as he stepped inside. He looked back once at the outpost, its lights shining softly against the black of space. No one stopped him, no one tried, they did not care. They did not believe, but Ryan believed. The ship left the station and dropped toward the planet. Clouds swallowed the hull. Lightning cracked in the distance. The alien city came into view. Towers of stone and fire. Glowing against the night, Ryan felt his chest tighten. Thousands would be there tonight. Thousands cheering for blood. And only one human walking into the storm. As the ship landed outside the city walls, Ryan powered down the engine and checked his weapon one last time. His heart pounded, his breath came sharp. He was not afraid of death. He was afraid of failing her. He whispered again, "Hold on, Lyra." He stepped out into the night. The wind carried the sound of drums. Slow, deep, and endless. The ritual had begun, and Captain Ryan Hale walked alone into the city of enemies. The city of Varith glowed with fire that night. Shadows of tall towers reached high into the clouds. Drums echoed from the great square at the center. Slow, steady beats shook the air. Each sound was like a heartbeat, calling the people together. Captain Ryan Hale moved quietly through the dark alleys. His cloak pulled tight. He kept his rifle close but hidden. All around him, aliens filled the streets. Families, merchants, soldiers, all moving in one direction. Toward the square, the people were not sad. They were excited. Their faces glowed with feverish light as they carried torches. Children ran ahead, shouting the names of their gods. The whole city was alive with one purpose, the ritual. Ryan felt the weight of what he was walking into. Thousands were gathering, and he was only one man. He slipped into the edge of the crowd, blending as best he could. His human face was hidden by the hood. He kept his head low, he listened. "They say the gods will bless us after tonight," one alien whispered. "Yes," another said. "The sacrifice will keep the storms away. The crops will grow. The machines will sleep for another century." Ryan's jaw tightened. He had read their reports before. He knew about the so-called ritual, but hearing it from their lips, seeing their joy, it made his stomach twist. The crowd surged forward into the square. Ryan followed. He pushed through until he saw the stage. It was a great platform of stone, carved with alien symbols that glowed faintly in the firelight. At the center stood the high priests, their robes heavy with chains of gold and bone. And there she was, Lyra, the girl who had sent the call. She stood bound in chains, her small body trembling, her eyes wide with terror as the priests pulled her forward. Her voice was silent now, but her fear screamed louder than any words. Ryan's chest burned. He wanted to run to her, to break the chains now, but he forced himself to wait. To watch, to choose the right moment. The high priest raised his staff. The crowd fell silent. The only sound was the crack of torches and the low hum of drums. "Brothers and sisters," the priest boomed, his voice echoing across the square. "Tonight we give our offering. Tonight the gods shall sleep. Tonight our people shall live," the crowd roared. Thousands of voices shouted as one. "The gods shall sleep. The people shall live." Ryan gritted his teeth. He looked at Lyra. Her lips moved. He could see the words, "Please help me." The executioner stepped forward. A massive alien with arms like stone. He carried a blade longer than Ryan's arm. The edge shimmered in the firelight. The crowd went silent again, waiting. Ryan's heart pounded. His hand tightened around his rifle under the cloak. His mind raced. If he acted now, he would reveal himself. The entire city would turn on him, but if he waited too long, Lyra would die before his eyes. The drums grew faster. Boom, 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 like thunder. The executioner raised the blade high. The priest's voice thundered. "By this blood, the gods are bound by this death. We are free." The blade gleamed as it came down, and Ryan moved. In one swift motion, he pulled his rifle free and fired into the air. The gunshot cracked like lightning, louder than the drums, louder than the crowd. The sound silenced the square. Every alien froze. The executioner halted mid-swing. The blade stopped inches above Lyra's neck. Sparks of firelight danced on the steel. All eyes turned to Ryan. He threw back his hood. His human face was bare now. His voice cut across the silence, strong and defiant. "If you want her dead," he shouted, "you'll have to go through me." A wave of shock rippled through the crowd. Some gasped, some cursed. The priests snarled in rage. Soldiers began to push through the people. Their weapons raised. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. She had never seen a human before, not this close, not one who would stand for her. Her chains rattled as she tried to move toward him, but the priests held her back. Ryan lifted his rifle. His heart was steady now. The fear was gone, only purpose remained. The high priest hissed, "You dare defy the gods, human? You dare break the sacred law?" Ryan's voice was cold. "I dare because your gods are lies, and this girl's life is worth more than your fear." The crowd erupted into shouts. Some screamed for blood, some cried in confusion. Soldiers charged toward the platform, their armor glinting in the firelight. Ryan fired again, this time into the stone floor. The crack shattered more of the crowd's courage. Dust rose in the air. "Run!" he shouted to Lyra, but she was still bound. The priest pulled her back. The executioner raised the blade again. Fury in his eyes, Ryan leaped onto the platform, slamming into the executioner with all his strength. The blade clattered to the ground. The two of them fought in the firelight, each strike shaking the stage. The crowd screamed in chaos. The soldiers surged forward, and Ryan knew this was only the beginning. The square erupted into chaos. Torches fell, drums stopped, and thousands of voices turned into a storm of noise. Some screamed in rage, others shouted in fear. The priests bellowed orders, their golden chains clinking as they pushed soldiers forward. On the stone stage, Captain Ryan Hale faced the executioner. The alien was twice his size, its skin thick and gray like rock. Its fists slammed down with the weight of a hammer. Ryan ducked, the stone floor cracking where the blow landed. He swung his rifle like a staff, smashing the alien across the jaw. The executioner staggered but did not fall. Its eyes burned with fury. Its roar shook the air. Ryan's heart pounded, but his mind was clear. He had no time to fight forever. He needed Lyra. He turned his rifle, fired at the chains that bound her wrists. Sparks burst as the iron shattered. The girl gasped as her arms came free. "Run!" Ryan shouted, but there was nowhere to run. Soldiers climbed onto the stage from every side, their armor glinting red in the firelight, their spears aimed at Ryan and the girl. Lyra stumbled toward him, still weak. Her voice trembled. "They will kill you." "Not tonight," Ryan said. Pulling her behind him, his rifle barked again. The first soldier fell. The crowd screamed louder. Thousands chanting for blood. Thousands calling for the human's death. The priests raised their hands, demanding silence. But the people were beyond control. The square was a storm now. 1,000 eyes burned with hatred. 1,000 voices roared as one. "Kill him! Kill the human!" Ryan's chest tightened, but he stood tall. He looked at the sea of faces, all united in their hunger for sacrifice. He shouted back, his voice cutting like steel. "I am one man, but I will not watch you murder a child if you want her. You must take her over my dead body." For a moment, the crowd faltered, his words echoed against the stone walls. Lyra's small hand gripped his arm, and he felt her trembling. The executioner roared again and charged. Ryan rolled aside, grabbing the fallen blade. The weapon was heavy, almost too heavy, but he swung it with all his strength. Steel rang against stone as the giant stumbled back. The soldiers closed in. A spear sliced across Ryan's shoulder. Pain burned, but he did not stop. He fired again, dropped the rifle as it jammed, and gripped the massive blade with both hands. The priests cried out in fury. Their ritual was broken, their control slipping. They pointed at Ryan and screamed, "The human defies the gods. The human must be offered too." The crowd howled in agreement, 1,000 fists raised, 1,000 voices demanding his blood. Ryan pulled Lyra close. He whispered quickly, "Stay behind me. No matter what." She nodded, her eyes wide, her voice breaking. "Why are you helping me?" He met her gaze for just a second. "Because no one else will." Soldiers swarmed, but Ryan fought like a cornered wolf. His blade cut through armor. Sparks flew with every clash. His breath came heavy, his arms burned, but he refused to fall. The crowd grew wilder. Some threw stones, some spat, some cried out in fear of the broken ritual. Rumors spread like fire. "The gods will awaken. The city is doomed." Ryan knew he could not win against thousands. He needed a way out. He pushed toward the edge of the stage. Dragging Lyra with him, his eyes scanned the square, searching for escape beyond the firelight. He saw a dark opening, a tunnel gate at the base of the wall. The soldiers had not sealed it yet. It was their only chance. "Stay close," he told her. And together they leapt from the stage. The crowd surged after them. Soldiers shouted, spears clattering as they gave chase. Ryan's boots pounded the stone streets. Lyra's chains rattled as she ran beside him. The city became a maze of fire and fury. Drums started again, faster, louder. Warning the whole city, bells rang from towers. Shadows of soldiers poured into every street. The hunt had begun. Ryan's lungs burned. His wounded shoulder ached. But he kept moving. Every step was survival. Every turn was hope. Behind them, the priests screamed to the crowd. "The gods will awaken. Stop them. Stop the human and the cursed child." The people obeyed. Doors slammed shut. Barricades rose. Angry faces appeared in windows. Stones flew from rooftops. Ryan shielded Lyra as best he could. His blade deflected a spear. His foot kicked open the gate, and they stumbled into the dark tunnel beyond. The air was damp and cold. The sound of the city faded behind them. Only the echo of their footsteps remained. Ryan's chest heaved as he slowed, letting Lyra catch her breath. She fell to her knees, tears running down her face. "You should not have come. They will kill you. They will kill us both." Ryan knelt beside her, his hand firm on her shoulder. "Then we fight together. But I will not let them take you. I promise." Her eyes searched his, wide with disbelief. No one had ever stood for her before. No one had ever defied the priests. Yet here was a human, a stranger. Bleeding for her above, the city roared like a beast. Thousands searching, thousands hunting. But down in the shadows of the tunnels, a fire had been lit, one human against thousands. And he had no thought of surrender. The tunnels beneath the alien city were silent except for the sound of footsteps and the distant echoes of drums above. The air was damp and heavy. Water dripped from the stone ceiling. The walls were carved with strange symbols that glowed faintly in the dark. Captain Ryan Hale held his blade tight. His shoulder ached where the spear had cut him, but he did not slow. Lyra stumbled beside him, her chains clattering softly. Her breath came fast, her eyes wide with fear. Behind them, the sound of pursuit grew louder. Shouts of soldiers echoed through the tunnels. Their torches sent flickers of orange light down the passageways. "They are close," Lyra whispered, her voice shaking. "I know," Ryan said, his eyes scanning every shadow. "We keep moving." "Don't stop." The tunnel twisted left and right, branching into endless passages. Ryan felt the weight of the city above. He knew they could be lost in these underground mazes forever. At last they reached a wide chamber. The ceiling arched high, and broken statues lined the walls. They were old, cracked, covered in dust. Ryan touched one as he passed. "The stone was worn by centuries. What is this place?" he asked quietly. Lyra's voice trembled. "The catacombs, the priests say the gods sleep here. No one is allowed to come. They say curses wait for anyone who enters." Ryan gave a hard smile. "Good. Then maybe the soldiers will be afraid to follow." But the soldiers were not afraid. Their voices echoed closer. Metal clanged against stone. Their footsteps rushed through the tunnels. Ryan pulled Lyra behind one of the statues. He held her close, his hand covering her mouth to keep her silent. Torches flickered at the far end of the chamber. Shadows stretched long across the floor. Dozens of soldiers poured in. Their armor rattled. Their eyes glowed in the firelight. They searched the chamber, spreading out like wolves. Ryan's grip on the blade tightened. His heart pounded. Lyra trembled against him. He whispered softly in her ear, "When I move, stay low and follow." "No matter what happens," she nodded, her eyes wet with fear. The soldiers moved past their hiding place. Torches waving, one of them stopped, sniffed the air like a beast. His head turned slowly toward the statue. Ryan acted in one swift motion. He leapt from the shadows. His blade cut across the soldier's chest. The alien cried out and fell. The chamber exploded into noise. Shouts and roars filled the air. "Run!" Ryan shouted, pulling Lyra forward. They sprinted across the chamber. Soldiers charged after them. Spears flew, one clanging off the stone wall inches from Lyra's head. She screamed but kept running. At the far side of the chamber, a broken staircase spiraled downward into darkness. Ryan pushed Lyra toward it. The two of them raced down the steps as soldiers followed. Torches lit the stairwell in wild, shifting light. The deeper they went, the colder it grew. Strange machines lined the walls. Old and half buried in stone, they hummed faintly as if still alive. Ryan glanced at them and frowned. He had never seen technology like this. Human markings scratched across the surface. Ancient, forgotten, his mind burned with questions. But there was no time. At the bottom of the stairs, the tunnel split into two. Ryan paused. Soldiers' voices echoed above. "Which way?" he asked. Lyra shook her head. "I don't know. No one comes this deep." Ryan cursed under his breath. He listened. The left tunnel hummed faintly. The sound of machines. The right tunnel whispered with moving air. He chose the right, pulling Lyra with him. The passage was narrow. Water dripping down the walls. It felt endless, their footsteps echoing louder than their breath. Behind them, the soldiers gave chase. Their torches lit the dark. Their roars grew closer. Ryan pushed harder, dragging Lyra forward. His lungs burned, his wounded shoulder throbbed, but he refused to stop. The tunnel opened into another chamber, this one vast and round. A pool of black water shimmered in the center. "A broken bridge stretched across. We can cross," Ryan said. But as he stepped onto the bridge, the old stone cracked. Dust and pebbles rained into the water. Lyra gasped. "It's going to fall." Ryan grabbed her hand tighter. "Then we run fast." They sprinted across. The stone cracked beneath their feet. Soldiers burst into the chamber behind them. Torches blazing, arrows flew. Clattering against the bridge halfway across, the bridge gave way with a thunderous crack. Ryan and Lyra leapt, crashing onto the far edge as the bridge collapsed into the black pool below. Water roared, swallowing stone. The soldiers cursed, cut off on the far side. They shouted and raised their weapons, but none dared leap. The pool hissed as if alive, strange ripples spread, glowing faintly. Ryan pulled Lyra to her feet. "Come on," he said. They fled into the dark, leaving the soldiers behind. At last the sounds of pursuit faded. The tunnels grew quiet again. Ryan slowed, his breath heavy. Lyra collapsed against the wall, her voice broke. Why do you fight for me? You don't even know me." Ryan knelt beside her, his voice steady. "Because you asked for help. Because no one else would listen. And because I will never stand by while the innocent are killed. Tears filled her eyes. She had grown up believing humans were cruel invaders, but this human had risked everything for her. Above them, the city roared. The priests screamed to the people. The human has stolen the sacrifice. The gods will wake. The world will burn. Fear spread like fire. The people searched the streets. Soldiers flooded the tunnels, and deep beneath the city, Ryan and Lyra walked further into the shadows. Hunted by an empire, but Ryan's eyes were sharp. His grip on the blade was steady. His will was unbroken. The alien world had thousands against him, but he had made his choice. He would not stop, he would not surrender, and in the silence of the tunnels, the forbidden secrets of the catacombs began to stir. The tunnels grew colder as Ryan and Lyra moved deeper. Their breaths fogged in the air. The glow of the symbols on the walls grew brighter, casting ghostly light across their faces. It felt like walking inside the ribs of a giant creature. Lyra clung to Ryan's arm. Her chain scraped softly against the stone. "No one comes this far," she whispered. "The priests say even they fear these halls." Ryan's eyes scanned the shadows. "Good," he muttered. "Then maybe we have a chance." The floor sloped downward, leading into a vast chamber. At first it looked empty, but as Ryan's eyes adjusted, he saw strange machines lining the walls. Enormous structures of metal half buried in stone. They pulsed with faint blue light, their surfaces carved with both alien runes and something else, something human. Ryan stepped closer. His hand brushed against the cold steel. Letters scratched into the metal caught his eye. His chest tightened. The markings were English. United Earth Forces property. He froze. His mind reeled. This was impossible. Lyra tilted her head. "What is it?" Ryan swallowed hard. "These are human machines. They've been here for centuries. Maybe longer." Lyra shook her head in disbelief. "Humans never came here before." "That's what they told us. They lied," Ryan said, his voice low. "Or they didn't know. But someone was here long before us." The chamber hummed. The machines vibrated faintly as if waking from a long sleep. The sound made Lyra step back in fear. "Don't touch them," she whispered. "The priests say the gods live inside the walls." Maybe this is what they meant. Ryan's eyes narrowed. He remembered the ritual, the priests' chants, their warnings that without sacrifice, the gods would awaken. He looked at the machines again. The pieces clicked in his mind. "These aren't gods," he said slowly. "They're war machines, old weapons. The priests have been keeping your people afraid so no one would disturb them. They don't protect the world with sacrifice. They control it with fear." Lyra's lips trembled. "Then, my people died for nothing." Ryan placed a hand on her shoulder. "Not nothing for the priest's power. Not for the gods." Her tears caught the blue glow. She had been raised to believe the ritual was sacred. Now the truth broke her heart. Suddenly the ground shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. The machines pulsed brighter. Their hum deepened into a growl. Ryan pulled Lyra back, his voice sharp. "Move!" Now, they ran deeper into the catacombs. The tunnel walls shook. The hum followed them like the growl of a beast waking from sleep. Behind them, voices echoed. Soldiers, torches flickering at the chamber's edge. Ryan and Lyra slipped into another passage, narrow and steep. At the end, they found a sealed door of black stone. Strange wires snaked across it. Ryan pushed, but it did not move. "It's locked," he said. His eyes scanned the wall beside it. His hand found a panel half covered in dust. Human technology again, a control pad. He brushed it clean. Lights flickered weakly. He tried a button, sparks shot out, the door shuddered, then cracked open with a heavy groan. They squeezed through. The chamber beyond was massive. A hollow cavern filled with giant machines, towers of steel and cables. Some were dead and silent, but others glowed faintly. Like stars in the dark, Lyra gasped. "This is..." "Endless." Ryan stared in awe, his voice heavy. "This is an arsenal. A whole army buried under your city." At the center of the chamber stood a single machine larger than the rest. Its eyes dim, its armor black, human symbols marked its chest. Ryan's blood went cold. It was not just alien history. It was human history before he could speak. A voice echoed through the cavern, harsh and cruel. "There they are." Torches flared at the entrance. Soldiers poured in, their armor glinting, spears raised. The priests stepped forward, their eyes blazing with fury. "You dare break the sacred walls," the high priest shouted. "You dare awaken the gods, the curse will fall on us all. And it will be your blood that pays." Ryan pulled Lyra behind a rusted console, his blade ready, his eyes sharp. "They're not gods," he growled. "And I'll prove it." The priests raised their staffs, chanting loudly. Their voices echoed across the chamber. The machines pulsed brighter, the ground shook. Dust and stone fell from the ceiling. Lyra clutched Ryan's arm. "They're waking the machines," Ryan's jaw tightened. "Then we stop them, or none of us survive," the soldiers charged. Torches flared. The chamber became a battlefield. Ryan swung his blade. Steel clashing against alien armor. Sparks flew. Blood splattered across the old stone. But the real danger was not the soldiers. It was the machines. Their eyes flickered red. Their giant limbs twitched for the first time in centuries. They stirred. Ryan's heart thundered. He fought with everything he had. His voice roared above the chaos. "Lyra, listen to me. If those machines wake, your world will burn. You must help me stop them." She looked at him, tears shining, fear shaking her voice. "But I'm nobody. I can't fight." "Yes, you can," Ryan said. His blade struck down another soldier, his voice fierce. "Because you're still alive. And you're not afraid to see the truth?" The machines groaned. Their shadows stretched across the walls. The priests screamed their chants louder, and in that moment Ryan knew. The battle was no longer about saving one life. It was about saving a world. The cavern shook like a living beast. Ancient machines groaned as red lights flickered across their frames. The ground trembled beneath Ryan and Lyra's feet. Dust fell in heavy clouds. The priests shouted louder, their chants echoing like thunder. Soldiers swarmed into the chamber, their torches blazing, spears raised. The crowd of people outside the tunnels had followed. Their voices filled the air with cries of fear and rage. Thousands pressed at the entrances. Desperate to see the gods awaken, Ryan gripped his blade. His chest burned with exhaustion. His shoulder throbbed from the wound, but his eyes burned with defiance. He stood between Lyra and the soldiers. His voice rang across the chamber. "You fools," he shouted. "These are not gods, they are weapons. They will destroy you, not save you." The high priest stepped forward, his robe dragging across the stone. His eyes glowed with madness. "You dare insult the holy ones. Human, you will be offered with her. Your blood will bind the gods forever." Ryan raised his blade. "Try me." The soldiers charged. Steel clashed with steel, sparks flew. Ryan fought with fury, every strike fueled by his vow to protect Lyra. He cut through armor, dodged spear thrusts, and pushed forward. But there were too many. For every soldier he struck down, two more appeared. His arms grew heavy. His breath came sharp. Still he did not fall. Lyra crouched behind the console. Her hands shook. Her eyes darted to the machines. Their limbs twitching, their heads turning, their red eyes slowly opening. The hum grew louder. A deep growl shaking the ground, she whispered. "They are waking," Ryan gritted his teeth. He saw it too. The war machines were rising. One wrong moment and they would crush everything. He shouted over the chaos. "Lyra, find a way to stop the chanting. The priests are fueling them. Break their voice. Break their power." Lyra's heart pounded. She had no weapon, no training, but she had courage. She ran toward the priests, her chains rattling. The high priest sneered when he saw her. "You were chosen for sacrifice," he spat. "You cannot escape fate," she raised her voice, her cry sharp and fierce. "You lied to us. You killed our people for nothing. There are no gods." "Only your lies," the crowd at the tunnel mouth gasped. The words spread like fire, people muttered, confusion mixing with fear. Some shouted at the priests, "Is it true? Did you lie to us?" The priests' faces twisted in rage. They screamed louder, desperate to hold control. But the crowd wavered. Ryan saw the opening. He shoved through the soldiers, his blade slashed across the staff of one priest. Sparks burst as the sacred weapon shattered. The chant faltered. The machine nearest to them groaned and slowed. "Yes," Ryan roared, "their power is only fear. Break their lies and they are nothing." The crowd shifted. Some threw stones at the priests. Some cried out against the ritual. Chaos spread. But the high priest screamed with fury. He raised his staff high. The ground split as energy burst from the machines. A giant war construct lifted its head, its red eyes blazing. It rose with a roar that shook the chamber like an earthquake. Lyra stumbled back in terror. Ryan grabbed her, pulling her close. The towering machine aimed its weapon arm toward the crowd. Sparks crackled. Ryan's mind raced. He remembered the human panel on the wall, the old controls. He dragged Lyra with him, dodging soldiers. Ducking under falling stone, he reached the console. Fingers flying across the dusty buttons, the screen flickered. Ancient English letters glowed faintly. Override system locked. "Come on," Ryan growled. He slammed the keys. Sweat poured down his face, the machine's weapon charged. Red light glowing brighter. Lyra's hands joined his. Her small fingers pressed a button marked with a broken symbol. Suddenly the screen blinked. Manual override unlocked. Ryan pulled the lever. The machine's roar cut off, its red eyes flickered, then died. The giant collapsed with a crash that shook the earth. The priests screamed in horror. The crowd gasped, their fear cracked open. Ryan stood tall on the console, his voice thundered. "You see, they are not gods, they are old machines. And the priests have fed you lies. No more sacrifices, no more fear," the crowd roared. Some cheered, some wept. The soldiers hesitated. Their spears lowered, their faith broken. The high priest shrieked, "Silence him, kill the human." Kill them both, but fewer soldiers moved now. Doubt burned in their eyes, the crowd surged forward. Angry hands reached for the priests. Pulling them down, the sacred staffs shattered. The chants ended. The cavern rumbled one last time. Machines twitched, then went still. Their red lights fading into silence, Ryan dropped to his knees. His body heavy with exhaustion, Lyra caught him. Her tears fell on his bloodied arm. "You did it. You stopped them." Ryan gave a tired smile. "No, we did it. You spoke the truth. You showed them." Above them, the city bells rang, not for ritual, but for revolution. The people's voices rose in defiance. The priest's power was broken. Ryan pushed himself up, his blade still in his hand. He looked at the silent army of machines buried in the catacombs. His voice low. "This fight isn't over, but tonight, we stand." Lyra's small hand gripped his tightly. For the first time in her life, she felt hope. And in the echoing tunnels of the alien city, one human had turned fear into fire. The catacombs lay in silence. The war machines that had once stirred now sat like dead giants, their red eyes fading into black. The priests lay broken, dragged down by the fury of the people they had ruled for centuries. But the battle was not finished. The city above still roared with chaos. The bells tolled again and again. Soldiers clashed with civilians. Fear and rage twisted together like fire and smoke. Ryan Hale stood on the cracked stone floor. His blade heavy in his hand, his body weak, his wounds burned. But his eyes did not break. Beside him stood Lyra, her small frame trembling. Yet her chin lifted with new strength. "We stopped one machine," she whispered. "But there are more if they wake again." Ryan shook his head. "Then we stop them the same way, not with sacrifice. Not with fear, but with truth, with courage." The crowd in the chamber turned to him. Hundreds of alien eyes fixed on the lone human. The silence grew deep, waiting. Ryan raised his voice. Strong and clear. "You are free. The priests lied to you. They fed your children to fear. They chained you to shadows. No more. You do not need gods to live. You only need yourselves. Stand together and no one can rule you again." The words struck the crowd like thunder. Some wept, some shouted, their voices breaking free from centuries of silence. A chant rose, first quiet, then louder. No more sacrifices, no more fear. Lyra's heart swelled. She looked at Ryan as if seeing him for the first time. Not just as a rescuer, but as a leader, a symbol. The high priest, bleeding and beaten, crawled across the floor, his voice cracked with madness. "You fools without the rituals. The gods will wake, they will burn your world. You are all doomed." Ryan stepped forward, his voice sharp as steel. "Then let them come and we will fight them. We are not slaves to fear." The crowd roared their agreement. Soldiers threw down their weapons, some joined the people, some fled. The old order shattered before their eyes. Above, the city burned with rebellion. Torches lit the night sky. The drums of ritual were gone, replaced by the voices of thousands demanding freedom. Ryan and Lyra led the people out of the catacombs. Step by step, they rose into the open air. The night wind struck their faces, carrying smoke and fire. The great square, where Lyra had almost died, was now filled with people. No priest stood there now, only frightened guards and angry citizens. The statues of the gods toppled as ropes pulled them down. The sacred fires were stamped out. Ryan climbed the broken stage, Lyra at his side. He looked out over the sea of faces. Thousands staring up at him. He raised his blade high. His voice carried across the city. "Your fear is dead. The priests are finished. Tonight you showed what it means to be free, and it was not the gods who gave it to you. It was you. Your courage, your voices, your will." The crowd roared. Their chant shook the walls. "No more fear. No more fear." Lyra raised her arms, her voice rang with new strength. We are not slaves, we are not sacrifices, we live. And we choose. Her words spread like fire. Her people cried out with her for the first time in memory. Their voices belonged to themselves. Ryan's eyes scanned the horizon. He saw towers still burning. He saw soldiers still fighting. He knew battles would remain. The Empire would not die in one night. But something far greater had begun. Hope, he turned to Lyra. They will need a leader, someone to guide them now. Her eyes widened. Not me, I'm only you, Ryan said firmly. You spoke the truth when no one else dared. You showed them courage that makes you more than a sacrifice. It makes you a symbol. Lyra's throat tightened. Tears filled her eyes. She looked at the crowd. Thousands chanting her name. Thousands holding torches not for ritual but for freedom. For the first time she believed she could be more. The first light of dawn broke across the city. The fire-lit smoke turned gold. The stars faded. A new day rose. Ryan lowered his blade, his body weary, his spirit calm. He had stood alone against thousands. And now he was not alone. Humanity had given more than strength. It had given an idea that fear could be broken. The courage could be greater than gods as the sun climbed higher. The people of Aerith chanted one final word, a word never spoken in their rituals. A word that would live in their history, human, not as an enemy, not as an invader, but as a symbol of defiance, of hope, of courage. Ryan Hale stood with Lyra at his side, and in the ruins of fear a new world began.